All right, welcome back to Modern Ronin Media. This is Tommy, and this is a channel where we talk about filmmaking for the people who love the art of filmmaking. On today's episode, we're going to be doing something slightly different than normal because we are going to be talking about my process on how I take a job and how we get to production. When this video is released, we will be literally 1 week away from starting production and principal photography for The Phantom Nightmare, which is directed by Ashley Scarborough. So you guys, I want to talk to you about how this project came about. This could probably be a multi-part series, including some behind the scenes, some reviews of some gear that we're going to be using on this shoot. There's just so much more. But for right now, I just want to go about how we actually, Travis, Ashley, and I came together to make what will hopefully be a pretty amazing project and how they decided to use me. So let's start with the basics. When I get work, be it video work or narrative work, someone typically calls or emails and says, hey, got this project. I think you're all pretty familiar with the basics of how that part of the world works. So when Travis, who acted for me in 2 of the movies I directed, technically 3, 1 was never released, but in 2 of the movies I directed, he contacted me and said, hey, you know my podcast, Strange Fantasy Podcast? I'm like, yes. He's like, we want to now move into video. We want to take a few of the concepts that we've used as the podcast and put them into film. So a little bit of background. So Travis created a podcast called Strange Fantasy. It's like an old time radio show meets Tales from the Crypt. So they're all kind of spooky, horror-driven type podcasts and radio dramas. Not particularly typically my genre. I like more adventure, action, so forth. So it was interesting when he reached out to me. So we had a phone call. Ashley, Travis, and I were on the call and talking about, like, what is it that you really want to do? Give me some ideas here of how you want to frame it. So I got their pitch, which was the first step. They had a finished script that they had basically modified from their script that they created to do the radio drama into a film script. So after our initial conversation of how is this going to work, how are we going to put these pieces together, where the basic things, if you bring me on, what do you need from me, and where would you be filming this at? They said, we really like the work that you're doing, so we want you to DP. And we're going to be coming from Florida to shoot it in San Antonio, which is where I'm at. So that was really convenient and really helpful for me to really start thinking about this. So after the initial call, they sent me a script, which here's the script. It's somewhere in the 28, 29 page range. So ideally, this should be about, in my head, because I've read this thing so many times, it's probably going to be an 18 to 22 minute film, depending on how their editor does it, which was one of the questions I had, which is where do you need me from pre-production to just shoot it and then leave it there and you guys finish it? Am I working with the editor, which I'll be giving him some coloring suggestions, but for the most part, I'm going to be leaving it probably towards not at the last shooting day, but in the days to follow. And that's okay. Sometimes I do like to take it all the way through editing and coloring, but on a narrative like this, I think I am out of skill set to really follow through with sitting down and trying to take it to an edit and get into a deep color. They have a guy who is an editor and has experience doing that, so that's better suited for them. So let's get into what happens. So Travis sends me this first script. I read the script between 6 and 8 times. This is probably not common for DPs to give script notes back. I do have a background in writing and, like I said earlier, directing. So there were a few things that format-wise and world-building-wise, I was like, okay, so here's my my first round of ideas, but I think if you build out the world a little bit more and get these things tightened up a little bit more, we can go further. So after probably 2 or 3 revisions of the script, we got it back. And so what I did was I sat down and page by page went through the script, and I looked at how this story is being told. And it's being told in some ways location based as opposed to scene based. So I'm trying to say this without giving out too much about the film, but it's very conversationally driven in one aspect and really effects driven on the other side. So for me to come up with a good way to visually present this to them, I said, you know what, I'm going to create a lookbook for you guys. So I wish I printed it out, and I totally forgot to. I don't have a color printer that works, so it would have all been black and white, so it probably wouldn't have made any sense. So we'll put some slides into the video. So what I did was I went out to Shot Deck, Google Images, anywhere where you can get just images. Sometimes you'll go out to Instagram, sometimes you'll go out to Flickr. I think they're still around. Google Images is a great one because you're not going to this is not for commercial reproduction of images. You're looking for things that kind of, when you think of things, you're like, this is kind of a good way to visually display this. Like, we're not going to sell this lookbook. It's just between myself, Travis, and Ashley. So we'll take what we used in our upcoming backlot.app scene to go over, like how we would do that. So the first part of the lookbook that I really thought about was the very first scene where we see anything. And some of the formatting things we'll get back to. Interior bedroom night. Darkened bedroom, no real distinguishing features, furniture other than a bed pushed up against a shadowed wall. So now I have something to look at and go, okay, so we're looking for images like this. And I've always been taught by people who mentored me that in a lot of senses, and I know there's going to be people out there who are going to be like, that's not how it really works. But when I work with people, this is how I try to make it work. The director tells the story through the actors. The DP really sets the look and feel of the world that the actors are being filmed in. That's where all of our lights come in. That's where all of our negative fill, all of our light gags, like lights flickering on and off, happen. So here I'm thinking, just so we are on the same page, we know that this is relatively modern day, it's not a period piece. We know that it is about 2020-ish. So in terms of costuming and set design, we want something that you would see today. So looking for bedrooms in terms of images, and pull those images out and kind of say, okay, here's how I'm thinking about it. Asleep and fidgeting on his bed, on the bed, is Henry. So we know that there's someone actually in there, and we'll work around how costuming and that will go. But so here's the exact type of image. So pull 5 or 6 guys sleeping in bed in a dark room. We're hoping to have a window, so we'll get some light shafts there through haze or fog. So those are the images I'm going for. And then that's one set. Then the other part of it is I try to get images that may not even be bedroom images, but that kind of gets the camera angle and the perspective of what exactly I'm seeing for that character. And we build out this deck, but instead of building it out scene by scene, because like I said earlier, this is location-based work. There's 5 sets, for lack of a better word, because a lot of them are being shot the same physical location, but in terms of scene headings where they're at. So we have a bedroom, we have a bathroom, we have a psychiatrist's office, we have a home office, we have a car, and we have 2 exterior shots. So instead of trying to go scene by scene, I can go location by location. So at this particular location, here's what we're looking at. So in the bedroom, in the bathroom scene, which are follows immediately after. That's the Henry's house location. It's going to have this look, this feel to it. And by putting that down into a PowerPoint or a PDF slideshow or something that will say, we want, these are kind of the images, but we're also thinking this color scheme, where we're actually writing something out and then saying, we want some camera movement here, we want some light shafts here, and really giving them an idea of how to describe what we're talking about. Then we can move on to getting feedback. And luckily for me, they bought off on exactly what I wanted. Now there's another project I can't really get into details with that I was working on, and it's kind of halted right now, dealing with a comic book that we're going to take to a short. It's going to kind of possibly be like a subplot with none of the characters from the comic book, but in that universe. And the whole pitch was this, and this. No script, no outline, just this. And creating that lookbook, I think, really helped the person who is designing and coming up with the world building for the script, really helped them go, oh, okay, yeah, that's exactly how I was thinking about it. So that's the first step that I do. Then Travis went back, and Ashley both went back, reworked the script a few more times to get a few things that they thought needed to be added or taken out. And then we started to get a little bit deeper into it with specific scenes. Like in this shot, there's a lot of cut to black screen, where there's going to be one character against a black screen, and we need to light it right. So we start talking about the fundamentals of that. We have an 8x8 that can be rigged for negative fill, that can be rigged just to be a blackout screen. So we can now try to, what I'll do is sorry, I thought I had something right behind me. We'll take a floppy and try to recreate what exactly it is that we're looking for with Mr. Robot A or Mr. Robot B, the little guys from previous videos, and try to get that lighting. This is what I'm doing while they're working on their end and getting their cast members set up and everything like that, and getting all the casting done. Also, what's happening is they are sending me photos of their cast members costumed up, so I can get an idea how to start to think about lighting, which then comes into the second part of the DP's job, which is framing. So what we do, where did I put that pen? Oh no, I didn't bring the pen over here. So what we do is we take a typical script and we'll start, I do it, they did it, and we'll kind of see, because they're in Florida, we'll kind of see how it matches up, but we'll line the script. So going back to the Henry bedroom scene. So I said, I put a little W all the way down, so we'll have an establishing wide shot. Maybe in the first iteration, I know I want some camera movement, but I don't know how much, so just a wide establishing shot with a slight dolly push in. Then we'll go, okay, as we're doing this, he's fidgeting, so we need to kind of see him fidget. It's going to be a dark setup, and that's where some of the creativity comes in. So we may do an overhead with the Kessler setup and do a motion control push over the top of the bed to see him fidgeting. So we'll do another, say DI, dolly in, and say this little section. So I don't know how many people have lined out scripts before. We'll throw some stills in there, I hope, to make this a little bit more easy to see what I'm talking about. So we'll do that for the entire script. Then send them what I have. We talk about it on the phone, and we go over basically shot by shot. Like, okay, how's this one feel? How's this one feel? What is the general idea? And this is not easy. This is a part of doing the DP work that a lot of people for corporate films and for things like that really don't have to do. But I really do feel pre-production is a lost art. in cinematography, because now I have an idea of what gear I'm going to need. I'm going to need something to move the camera smoothly forward. So in my case, it's going to be this shuttle dolly on tracks with, underslung cine shooter, or maybe a different way of doing it. So it really helps design what we're doing for the shots and getting a good idea. Then when it comes to the black screen stuff, we kind of had Travis is a good artist, so he kind of storyboarded out what he was envisioning, and we're able to work around that. So we do our lines on our scripts and come down there and spend all that time. Then I go back and do this about, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, I think I finished it. So over about a week period of time, I take their script and I import the PDF into Final Draft. And this is just me. This is my personal technique. I don't think that this is a standard. And I go back in Final Draft and I add in all of the camera shots to develop a shot list that I can read in the script. So it'll say interior night bedroom, dolly in towards bed at eye level or at bed level. And then it will be asleep fidgeting on the bed, overhead underslung motion control shot with the 360 to kind of point at Henry's head at the end. Then insert shots for later parts of the same scene. So that's written into the entire script. After that, I take all of that and put that into an Excel file. That's scene one, shot one, scene shot one, and I break it all the way down to, I think there's 28 scenes. Also in that Excel, I have scene number, scene heading, master shot number, scene shot number, and then I break it down to the shot types, movement, and possible gear. So we'll go scene one, shot one, wide shot, bed level. We're going to need, it's going to be a dolly in, and we're going to need tracks. Shot two, maybe just a static over the shoulder. So it's going to be shot two, over the shoulder. So a medium wide shot over the shoulder on sticks. So we need tripod. So that's my shot list. That's in an Excel document. And typically that's where we would stop. But in this case, we went even further. I knew that there was some stuff like the motion control over the top of the bed, the dolly, that we were all on the same page with, but I could feel like there was still some stuff that they weren't quite getting the visualization. That's where backlot.app actually came in. In the past, if I was to try this, I would make something very, very cheesy looking in the most basic 3D program. With backlot.app, I was able to do stuff with character animation, camera control. You could do rack focus with it, the whole 9 yards. I'm not affiliated with backlot.app, but if you guys want to sponsor one of these videos one of these days, it'd be great. But that being said, so I took 4 or 5 different particular shots. One in the bathroom scene of how it would look with the camera backed off and catching part of the door and looking in to Henry's little world. And that rendered those out, sent those off. They loved it. We went on to Studio Binder and I inputted, as of today, about 3/4 of the shots into Studio Binder, which then gives me an ability to estimate time that we're going to be spending per shot and per setup and break that down. Then working with them to do the scheduling. All 3 of us are intimate with the script, but I think I may be a little bit better to help them do the scheduling than their AD, because because of that feature in Studio Binder, where I'm able to estimate hours, I can go, okay, we need to do these scenes. And the way we're shooting this, we have a physical home that is going to play 3 or 4 locations plus an exterior that we have for 5 days. So we got to shoot every day scene literally during the day. This is not a studio with sets that are built and everything's blacked out, so we can make it 3 o'clock in the afternoon at any point in time and day. We're shooting at a physical house location that has windows, and we don't have the budget to black out every window. So we need to shoot certain things at certain times of day. And then on our evenings, when the sun goes down, we need to be able to shoot all the night stuff. So knowing what gear we're going to have there, what lenses, what transmitters, what lights, what camera movement gear, I really kind of took over from the first AD and kind of built out the first draft of the schedule to really work with how we're looking at shooting. Fortunately for us, it seems like the actors got their stuff nailed. They've known about this since before I was brought on. So the shoot should go, I'm probably gonna regret saying this, the shoot should go relatively seamless unless there's changes made on the fly that we can't predict for. That's basically how I take a job, break down the script, look at it with the camera eyes instead of the director's eyes who's worried about the actors, how to make what the director's vision of this come to life. And the good thing with this script is the director kind of knows what she wants. That's really helpful. The worst possible type of director you could work for is someone who tells you, I'll know it when I see it. That's never going to work out good. And that's where pre-production, I think, comes in really handy, is you can knock out all of those, I'll know it when I see it in my head. Well, here, let me show you this. That's what this whole thing's about, is telling the best story possible. Whether it's a corporate video of some talking heads, well, they're trying to tell a story, or it's a short or feature narrative. There's a story to be told in there. Get out there and create great stuff. Don't worry about the best products on the market. Worry about the products that are right for what you're doing. Thank you so much for watching.